Hey, what's up, guys? No Pros Garage coming to you from, well, not a garage. This time we're out in a parking lot. This is Rob. Told you he was going to be making appearances. He's the other member of the channel. So we're here working on his wife's 2010 Jeep Liberty. Pieces of shit in our opinions. My wife has the exact same Jeep, same color, same everything, including the problems. So today we're working on the rear lower control arms. Both of them snapped after the rear caliper locked up. Both of them snapped and beat up the drive shaft and both rear lower control arms. So today we're going to show you how to replace them. Got a little spoiler alert for you. It is a pain in the ass. For the one on the right side, passenger side and the rear, you have to drop the muffler. And for the one on the left side, you guessed it, you have to drop the gas tank. So stay tuned, we'll show you how to get it done. All right, welcome back. So first thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to get your wheel off. You're gonna wanna take that bolt off on your lower control arm. Okay, see the way it's facing with the nut on the outside? That's the reason you have to drop the exhaust in the gas tank, because the bolt can only come out from the back and it's too long to make it. So as you can see, the exhaust is on the ground. Here's the hanger. All right, guys, so we're back. On the rear passenger side, you have to drop the exhaust. As you can see, it's down here. Here's one of the hangers. And we live in a good old rust belt of New Jersey where everything under the car is rusted. There's the second hanger in the back. So you can see that one has 2 bolt holes that go, if you look at the back of the wheel well, you can see up along the frame rail. There's 2 holes there. That's the back mount. And I'll get you a shot of the other one. I climb under there. Those are 13 millimeter bolts.
Gear wrench preferred.
Yep, gear wrench preferable. And that is the mid hanger right here. So we're gonna go ahead and put the muffler back in because we put the new control arm in already on this side. And unfortunately we can't get a shot of that while we're doing it. So we'll catch back up with you after that's in. All right, so as you can see here, we're under the car. And Rob is putting the 2 bolts in on the back hanger. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
All right, so this is the mid hanger. As we're laying under the car, you can see it's all rusted and beat up and the rubber's dry rotted, but that's all right, she'll hold. And then in front of the muffler, you got a clamp in the front. If they're all the same, depends if you have work on it or not. So as you can see, this is the rear bolt for the lower control arm on the axle tube. And it's tough to see because I'm so close. I'll get you a little bit better shot. Let me see if I can get it to focus. All right. So there is the bolt looking from the inside out, and that tab is all part of the bolt. That's why you have to remove the muffler. That bolt is too long to come out. It's the same thing on the other side with the gas tank. So this is all back in. It's going to get tightened up, and we'll jump over to the other side. And on the other side, you're going to have to take down this drive shaft at those 4 bolts. There's 2 there, 2 on the other side. I don't know if I'm even getting you in the shot from laying down here. Here's one of them, and then another one's above it. So half this video is going to be shot on my iPhone. The other half will be shot on the GoPro. Okay, so we got the muffler back in and hanging. We got the lower control arms in. Okay, we also did, the reason this happened was because the rear caliper froze up and locked up the wheel. So we replaced the caliper, the pads, the rotors. Okay, so what we're doing now is the muffler's back in and tight. So like I told you before, there was a clamp up here on this car. I don't know if they're all the same or if yours has been worked on like I know this one has. So there's a clamp up in the front, and then there's the two hangers that I showed you earlier. So now what we did is that one bolt for the lower control arm and the one in the back right there, you don't want to tighten yet. You want to put them in, and then you want to drop the car down so that it has the full weight of the car on that suspension, on that control arm. Then you can torque it. One gets torqued to 120, the other one gets torqued to 150. And I believe, I'm going to double check, but I believe the one that mounts in the back, so on the axle bracket, I believe that one is 120, and I believe the one up front here, I believe that one is 150. I'll double check it and I'll make sure that I'm correct on that. Okay, so this one in the front, the frame rail bolt, is 120 foot-pounds, and the one on the back on the axle, that one is 150 foot-pounds. All right, so we're on to the other side of the car. So what you're going to want to do is, this is the front end to torque converter. You got to take apart the drive shaft at these two bolts, and this one here, and there's another one on the other side. There's those four, and you follow the drive shaft along to the back to the rear differential, and there's also 4 bolts there. You can see 2, there's 2 on the other side. Those 8 bolts have to come out. This drive shaft has to get dropped so you can get to that bolt on the gas tank that's up. Oh, let's see if I can focus. There you go. That's up underneath. So for this side, you have got to drop the drive shaft and the gas tank. So make sure that if you do this job that you don't have too much gas in here.
Tell your wife not to fill up.
Right, tell your wife don't fill up before she decides to break the car. Okay, so for the left side, what you want to do is you want to remove the fuel pump relay, or fuse rather. It's this one right here. Okay, it's a 20 amp, and that is M25. Okay, you want to remove that fuse just because you want to release the pressure and you don't want it coming back up to the rails. So you have 2 ways of doing that. You remove that fuse and you crank your car over, let it run and stall. Or if you look back down in here on the left side of the fuel rail, you can see there's a Schrader valve. Right below my finger, that black cap. That's a Schrader valve for the fuel rail. If you depress that with a screwdriver or something, you'll release the pressure, but you don't want the pressure coming back. So you remove that fuse, which is right there, yellow, 20 amp, and it goes right there underneath the 25 amp, right here. Once you do that, jack your car up, get it supported properly and safely. Then you remove your gas tank cap right there. Just leave it off to the side for now. Then all the fun begins. We removed the wheel for better access. You might not have to, but here's what you're looking at replacing right here. And the entire reason for doing this is because they decided, geniuses that they are, decided to put the bolt coming through the backside. So the bolt is too long, you can't get it out. It's going to hit the fuel tank right here. So there's a lot of hoses and electrical connectors and stuff that you have to remove. We'll show you those as we go. Okay, so here at the back of the tank, you're going to need to disconnect this hose here. This is your filler hose. So you remove the cap in case you got to move the whole hose out, or pipe rather, whatever it is. Like this part here is a hose, but it goes into a hard pipe as it goes up the filler neck. So this is just your typical hose clamp with a flathead screwdriver or a 5/16 nut driver. Okay, so you got to take that off. You have to take this connector off, which you're going to need a flathead screwdriver. And right here where my finger is, there's a little tab that you have to let me see if I can get a better shot of it for you. Probably not, but let's see what we got there. Forgive my hands for being unsteady laying under here. Okay, so right here, that white tab, you got to get underneath there where my finger is with a screwdriver or something. You have to pull this white tab out, which would be down towards you, and then this part of the connector should pop out that way and come free of this line. Okay, so you have that connector, the big one that I showed you coming off the tank, which is right there. Okay, it's a better shot of it. That's got to come off. And then there's another connector, which this is all in really, really tough areas to see, but if you're doing this job when you get under the car, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Try and get a better view. See if I can get you. Okay, so there's your third one right there. Okay, the one my finger's on, that's got to come apart also. So once you get them out, then you have two more in the front that I'll show you also, but these are your bolts. This is one bolt on the frame. Okay, there's another one, that's the back one. There's another one further up right there. And that's towards the left-hand side of the truck, towards the outside of the truck. Okay, the inside has one bolt that's up there in between the drive shaft. Now we are going to attempt to, it's right there, we're going to attempt to get it out without removing the drive shaft, and if you can, that'll save you some time. So stay tuned and we'll let you know how that worked out. There's Rob hard at work right there.
Oh God.
Killing himself, laying on jacks and whatnot. So he's going to show you the lines that he's working on right now. There you go. Sorry for the unsteady hand. Say hi again, Rob.
Hi again, Rob.
So I'll show you them lines after he gets it popped out. Alright guys, so what you can see is, try and focus, there you go. So from here on the gas tank to your filler neck, which is right here, there's a rubber piece with a hose clamp on both sides. It's a 7mm. Okay, this line has a clip that goes in here. Be careful with it if you can't get new ones. I have to look and see if we can get new ones, because I broke this clip and the smaller clip that goes to here. I broke both of them getting them out with a screwdriver, so be very careful. Once you have these three disconnected, I'll show you the two up front, and this tank is ready to be dropped partially. Also, what I had to do was up in here, if you can see it, hang on. Right there's a bolt that goes up there. Okay, that's a 13mm bolt, and that holds up this whole assembly. Sorry for the lighting there. That holds up your filler neck and all that stuff. You're going to want to remove that and give yourself more room to get that rubber hose out between the two. Okay, let's go up front real quick. Okay, here are your two connectors up front. There's one pipe here and one connector and pipe there. Okay, they're the same thing. Little clip that holds in the plastic to the metal, the little rib right here is what catches. Once you remove that clip, they'll separate fairly easy, but there will be gas coming out of them more than likely, so try not to take a bath. Once you have those removed, you're ready to start supporting the tank and get rid of that bolt and that bolt. Once you have a jack under the tank, they come down halfway because there will be more electrical connections on the top for the fuel pump and the sending unit that have to get disconnected before you bring it all the way down. Okay, so there's also, if you can see, this is the rear driver's side wheel. You come in through the wheel well right up over your upper control arm here. Okay, there's also another bolt right here that holds your gas tank in. So you have this one, you have the one in between the drive shaft and the tank that's way up, and you can get that without removing the drive shaft. And then there is the two on the bottom that I already showed you. Okay, those two there on the rail, and you don't want to take those out without this tank being supported. Okay, so once you drop the tank, as you're dropping it, the only thing you have to watch out for, see if I can get my hand in there, is the wire that my hand is on. If you can see that clip, hang on, I'm trying to focus there. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, you can see that clip right there on that wire that actually gets mounted to the support for the gas tank on the inside. So come down halfway and you'll see, follow that wire all the way up. It goes to a rubber grommet into the bottom of the floor pan. So pay attention to that wire as you're coming down. Just remove that clip and it'll give you plenty of clearance. And as you can see now, we'll be able to get at, hang on, let me zoom back out. We'll be able to get at the bolt and get it out like we need to. Again, sorry for the shitty camera angles, but we're working on our backs, not on a lift outside and not even in a garage. All right, guys, there it is. Sweet success. All for this piece of shit. So do yourselves a favor. If you have an old vehicle, we're not going to do it because we're gluttons for punishment. But if your vehicle's got high mileage and you never replaced the fuel pump, now might be a good time, unless you're gluttons for punishment too. Alright, so that bolt's out.
Yeah, we might as well put the new one in.
The lower control arm's out. Just got to remove these clip holders. And then the other side on the axle housing, the axle bracket, whatever you want to call it. And we'll get the new one in, and not tight, but both bolts in on both sides. And we'll work on getting the tank back up. I don't know. So the new one is in on one side. We left the bolt loose, so you can still move it, but it's in. Now we're going to proceed with getting the tank back up. I wish we can get you guys shots of this, but it's just not happening. And you guys, if you have to do this, you'll see. All right, so the new one's in. We just all small stuff now. So we got the bolts started in all the holes. There is another one I missed. It's opposite inside of here. So there's 5 total bolts. There's 3 outside closest to me and 2 on the inside closer to the drive shaft. I'll try and show you that one real quick. But so the new lower control arm is in, but it's not tight yet. You got to wait to put all the weight of the car on it. So we're going to change also the rotors and pads, and we don't need to show you guys that. That can be another video if you guys need it. Just let us know and we'll make a video on doing that. But for now, we're just focusing on the control arm. So now that we got it in, we got to hook back up all our fittings for the gas tank. So let's wait while I crawl underneath here. And let's see what we got. Okay, so way up in here, so here's your drive shaft. I know it don't focus, but that what you're looking at is one side of your universal joint. Okay, so in between there, you see that bolt way up in top by the two e-brake cables. Okay, that's another bolt for the strap for the tank, so that one's got to get put back in and tightened. This clip right here is the one that I told you to watch out for when you're dropping the tank, so I got to get that put back in. Okay, then there's the other one up front, the other bolt that is. So those are the only two on the inside, and that clip, that's all you need to worry about. And the outside is the three on the rails, and then you're going to come in the back over here again, and you're going to hook up all your connections back with your clips. Okay, and we'll show you that in a little bit as well. All right, so once again, sorry for the shitty video, but we're crawling underneath the car with not much ground clearance. So what you're going to want to do is hook up your small guy first, put your clip back in. That's a brand new one because I broke two of them coming out, and now that's why I said be careful with these, because we can't find another one this size for this line, and what you're going to see is it'll slide off very, very easily without that clip holding it. So what happens is when you put this piece past your tube here, that little white clip will lock in behind that so that this can't pull out. So it's very simple to reconnect it. You just slide it back on. Okay, slide it in, and now is the time where you would put your clip in, but we don't have one, so I have to try and make something work. Once you're done with that, since that's higher, then you reconnect your rubber hose, which I pulled off of the filler neck side, and I pulled off the plastic side. And in order to get that clearance, that movement that you have there, I'll show you again. That's that bolt right there. Let's see if I can move it right there. So you take that bolt out and give yourself at least a little wiggle room here, okay? And you'll make it work. Everything here, if you're doing it on your back like we are, it's a pain. So that's what I was talking about before. Be very careful not to break those clips, because I did. Luckily, we have them in two pieces that we can get it back in, and we electrical taped it so it won't move. Now this new one seemed a little bit loose to me, so we're gonna electrical tape it too, just to be sure. But as long as you have something in there, those lines won't split, and you should be good to go. Then you just hook up your rubber hose from that plastic connector to your neck filler, tighten up the hose clamps on that, put the one bolt in the bracket up in here, and then you're on your way. Okay, so after some wrestling and fighting, these hose clamps, they're 7mm. There's one there, and there's one up here on the neck side. They're both 7mm. Now these two clips that we put in, this one's good. Okay, that's a new one. We just put the electrical tape on it as a safety precaution. This other big one, the clamp is broken. That's just a temporary fix. We're doing this on a Sunday at 6 o'clock, and there's nowhere open, nobody has them. So once we get the right clip in, we're gonna swap that out. Okay, so as you can see, we got that bolt back in. So everything underneath the car is good to go. So now we are gonna change the rotor, the pads, because that had to be done anyway. And then after you get the wheel back on, you're gonna set the car down on the ground so the wheel has the full weight of the car, and then you're gonna tighten this bolt and this bolt. So this bolt gets torqued to 150 foot-pounds. This bolt gets torqued to 120 foot-pounds. Once you have that complete, or even now, we can put it back in since we're here. You can put your fuel pump fuse back in, which goes right here. A little tough to do with one hand, but let's see how we made out. Okay, so fuel pump fuse is back in. Okay, it's that guy right there, the 20 amp. And that should be all you need to do. And if you don't have to change your pads and rotors and stuff like we are, then you put the wheel back on, you set the car down, you tighten them 2 bolts up, fire it up and make sure there's no leaks and everything's ready to go, and you should be good to go. And again, as always, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. There'll be more videos coming. Say bye, Rob.
Bye, Rob.